Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. I'm your host, Derrick Schommer. I got with me Curtis. I got with me Ian, and now I'm trying to think in my head, how are we going to play with the graphics on this? Do I have to make new graphics, or is this normal?
You probably have graphics.
No,
It's
I
always
think
like
it's
this.
Side.
Yeah.
I had an idea, but we'll get into it.
If I sit on that side, he freaks out.
We also have with us some
This is
absinthe
my good
fountains.
side.
We've got absinthe fountains, we've got his good side, we've got his bad side, which is really just either. See? And then for here's my agenda. I've done absinthe things and histories and stuff, and every time I do these, somebody's gonna flame me. So
Yes.
I apologize for anything we say inaccurately. If you're no more than us, write in the comments and I'll maybe add an annotation or something. I don't even know.
And you don't even have to be a douche about it. You can be informative and nice about it.
Dude,
Brilliant.
You don't have to.
that is the most polite way of saying don't be an asshole. So,
Well, this whole topic is interesting because
Yeah.
you know the guys that do the steampunk stuff, how they really get into what they're doing?
Yeah.
They're the guys that like
They make their own clockwork gears and stuff.
no, they read like
Chainmail.
they read Lovecraft
Oh, yeah.
and they like they've
Black
learned how to
mascara.
write in quill and like
Right.
this to them is the same kind of level as like a good orgasm is to every other individual. The basic topic
I heard
is just
orgasm.
like they're like, ooh, it's so romantic. Like, oh, Van Gogh used to drink this in France and like all this other
It
fancy
appeals
stuff.
to the intellectual, snobby side of people.
Yeah, and I think that might be one of the reasons why I kind of disdain absinthe.
because of its
Because-
cultural craziness.
Well, the people that have latched onto it is kind of that's their
They're
heirloom.
very evangelical about it.
Yeah, and I've just like I don't like that.
Which, I mean, I say good for them. Have something you love, research it, love it,
Well,
spread it.
but
But don't be
there are very few.
a douche about it.
There are very few other spirits that have their own website forums, like Absinthe or Wormwood Society, right? Like there's people, and
They aren't
that's
sponsored by like a product.
right.
Yeah.
They love the product and they know everything about it. They have the history. They debunk the myths. So I try to pull as much information from all these sites as I could, and then correlate them together to kind of build a timeline. With Curtis, we've had experience working with this, so I apologize for anything we get wrong, but you're
comes
too
from somewhere.
passionate, right? This is an art. It's also a culture, but yet at the same time, it's also something that most people are afraid of.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing a lot of people got into it because they were fascinated by the myth of absinthe and the myth.
well, I'm
of
blaming this whole thing
the
on
green
goth
fairy
and the dude from Nine Inch Nails. Remember
Trent
that
Reznor,
weird
isn't it?
Trent Reznor period where he was all his videos where had that like green hue to them.
I don't
Like
think I
the
don't
perfect drug. That was the name of the music video, The Perfect Drug.
Yeah.
That was like that time period where everybody's like, ooh, green fairy, absinthe. Like,
So
Hey, people read into stuff too much.
yeah.
I have
But hey, it's spawned a subculture, so whatever.
3 things I want. This is tough.
Your history should be able to appreciate that, right?
He needs
Yeah.
a beard
Yeah.
or a mustache. Well, I have 3 things that I'd like to be able to cover in this. History, we've got Kurt.
Yep.
Tools. I've got these over the years running my blog, everydayriggers.com. People just send me the stuff, I review it.
Yep.
And then I have the palettes, all 3 of us. I've got the
Tasting
Product.
kit.
tasting product, the tasting kit.
Now, who's this? RUEVERTE?
Yeah, but they have a better website. What's on the second page here?
There you go.
His website. Absinthe.com.
Absinthe.
They'll
Absinthe
never spell
stuff.
that right, so just go to Google.
Yeah, I'll put it in everything will be in the description.
Yeah.
So they've
No
sent me
typing
the tasting kit. Now, these guys ship internationally, right? So if you want to get into absinthe and you don't want to buy a big bottle of absinthe because you're afraid,
Paper.
they have paper. They have these little kits that you buy, right? So you get your spoon, you get 3
They look like
different
little
flavors.
perfume bottles.
She's dressed up like a green
They're
fairy.
like cheapo perfume bottles.
And the best part is you could pick what goes inside them. I had them pick them because
Oh,
I
nice.
just wanted ones I didn't already own because I have
Yep.
a lot of absinthe.
They have silvers in
And
there.
they're all
They
crazy.
also do
colors.
digestives and bitters, huh?
Yes, and
Yeah.
they have Armagnac. We have that
Oh,
over
okay.
there,
That's
another Armagnac kit. And so this is what these look like. So I wanted to be able to review these, go through history, show the tools and what some of the differences are. So quickly, just talk about the tools. Absinthe fountain,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Again, it's a culture, so you could get crazy. This is a $200 absinthe fountain from
There's
Absinthe on the net.
$50,000 ones, like
.com.
vintage ones that you can find.
Right. This is the cheaper version. This
Like
is
an $80 one?
yeah, an $80 one. This is from Absinthe Devil.
Yep.
They didn't have it on their website anymore because this is like 4 years, 5, 6, 7 years old now.
They probably have
They
something
have
equivalent.
other equivalent
Yeah.
priced. Actually, it very looks very
The
similar.
basic mechanics are you have an ice water
Right.
repository, and then you have some dripping vials. So.
And that's to louche the absinthe we'll talk about. The difference between on pricing is you notice the stems are down here, so you can get all the water through this one. This one, you have an issue once you get to about here, so there's a lot of wasted water.
I get it.
Easier to manufacture because you're doing the stems on the flat part.
And if you want to see the really cool one we have, then you could go watch the other videos we've done with the absinthe where we had the fairy fountain there.
Yes.
You want to go through some history? I'll pour some absinthe in here.
Okay, so
listen,
if you followed
you build this
our history before and the other segments that we've done, I think that the thing that's going to correlate probably the closest is gin. And one of the reasons for that is that gin follows into a juniper category where absinthe falls into an anise category, but both of them have the same kind of basic lineage. You have medicinal purposed liqueurs for stomach issues, for health reasons that are being produced during this early manufacture via monks and doctors that have picked up the art of distillation and have started putting it to use.
That's interesting.
And a lot of companies are always trying to shoot for this early date that is the predecessor to the distilled spirit. So when you go back to the vodka section, you have this red wine that they were referring to as vodka that's not vodka because it's not a distilled spirit. So in this case, we have 1550 BC. The Egyptians are using wormwood, and this is kind of like a lot of websites are using this as the base marker, but it doesn't count for me because it's not the distilled spirit and it's not an anise product. It's just a wormwood product that is being used.
Do you know which was which?
So
I did.
The
So you moved him.
start date for a lot of people is the 1700s, and particularly 1792 is a documented time period because that's when Pierre Arand is brought into the picture as the person that like introduced it. He was a doctor, he was producing it, but I think that you can somewhere settle in the 1750s, not just with that one individual, but probably multiple individuals, because from a distilling perspective, you have multiple people that are usually trying to create stuff as a group. That's one of the reasons why bourbon in Kentucky is kind of a centralized area. Cognac region is the centralized region for that brandy production. You just have multiple people that distillation is never just one person. It's usually a group of individuals. Dufton in Scotland, where Scotch kind of like regionalized. So I think that it's really interesting to look at the regionalized area from this beginning spot where you have a lot of doctors and a lot of people practicing the same kind of practice of putting together this liqueur. And the regionalized area in the very beginning is Switzerland.
Yeah.
So the Swiss can claim the origin to the beginning of absinthe, and the kind of push to where it becomes a French product is the people in Switzerland that had started the production of it end up deciding to go off on their own, and because they were so close to the French border, they transfer over into France and start producing on a grand scale what will become the
Green Fairy.
The
Pernod.
Pernod, yeah. From his last name is Ordinary.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? So the
that's great.
Pernod people move into France because of the ease of finding a building, and it was very easy for them to move over. And what ends up happening is that we're falling into this time period where, just like gin, the Floraxia is coming in and it's wiping out the wine crops.
Yeah.
And the French government is really trying to figure out what to do to kind of like make things work for them, because they're running out of rations of certain individual things. Brandy wasn't as easily produced as absinthe was, so rationing out absinthe to the soldiers that were fighting in North Africa was relatively easy. It's high proof.
Malaria.
It's easy to produce.
Malaria.
Yeah, and it gets rid of malaria.
Which is the same as quinine.
Pretty much, yeah. So they ration it out to all their soldiers, and the soldiers fall in love with it because, 120 proof alcohol, anybody like goes crazy, especially under the circumstance that you have to look at most of the people during this time period are drinking like wines that are like 12 proof and 13 proof. So if you have a lifetime of drinking wines and then all of a sudden somebody hands you 120 proof alcohol, you're gonna like lose your mind. You're gonna be like, this is amazing.
Right. Just based on the label, you don't have to know what it tastes like. Like, oh, this is awesome!
Yeah.
Get wrecked!
So you come back from war,
Hey, college kid.
and you end up in a situation to where you want more of it. So the production of it's growing, with wine production becoming more expensive for people to get, and it's starting to become kind of like a nationalized thing. At this point, there's a pocket of people that are referring to the time period of going to these bars to have absinthe as the green hour.
Right.
And it's
Happy hour.
becoming kind of like it is a nationalized thing in the same sense that like bourbon is to America what absinthe is to France at this point.
Right.
And the wine growers are freaking out because they know that if they let it go too far, that the idea that France is this wine producer is going to become secondary to it becoming a absinthe producer. And they put their dogs on absinthe and really started to attack absinthe for things that have not ever been true, have been proven not to be true, and chemically are unable to be true. So I'll follow all three of those to a certain extent, but the idea is that we're losing market share.
Sorry, kid.
It's okay. And we need to regain that ground, so we're going to say that absinthe drives people mad, and it kills people, and it's proven to be dangerous. And during this time period, all are unfounded and untrue because they're being produced in the same ways that they're being produced today. So once these things start to come out in the news, people start getting afraid, and they petition against the governments to push these things into acts to be able to ban the products. And at a certain point, let's see what the
Banning,
first
the dark
banning.
years?
Yeah.
1901, the fire and lightning.
No, we're gonna go into French labor
It
drinks.
doesn't help that the Pernod distillery gets hit by lightning, starts to burn down, it slows down.
So
after.
1906 is going to be the first push in. So 1906 Belgium pushes in and outlaws. 1910 Switzerland outlaws, which is really kind of sad because the origin space.
But you also have the problem where if they have this shortage and then they attack, right? So you have this shortage of absinthe because the place is burning down.
Well, it
And then
wasn't.
wine comes in and also it doesn't help.
There were so many other people producing that the fire at Pernod isn't enough for that to affect. The shortage was wine related. It wasn't
Right.
absinthe related. So 1912, America bans, and you get all of these countries kind of coming together in this first push ban. But the interesting thing is that out of all the countries that banned, Spain actually didn't ban the entire time, and their love for absinthe was very strong the whole way through. So if you want to find some of the oldest producers that were producing even through this dark period of absinthe, Spanish absinthes are actually really, really well renowned by a lot of people that are into absinthe.
There was a Spanish bartender that was pretty well known, right?
Um,
Or was it a Czech bartender?
Spanish, but yeah.
Oh, dude!
Okay, so as far as
I cursed you, I don't know.
the repeals coming back into
I know you love that on your glasses.
letting absinthe come back into existence in these countries that have banned it. So the first starts in 1988 when the European Union lifts the bans,
Right.
giving Europe the chance to have all absinthe-produced products. 2005, Switzerland repeals the ban, which is interesting because if the European Union repealed it, I don't understand
It's
how.
like there's like the European Union and there's people who want to play with it and then there's...
Yeah.
It's like our federal government and our state government.
Yeah,
So
sometimes they argue and...
You can be more strict in your state than you can in
And then 2007, America repealed the ban, and 2011, France let the production and distillation of it back into France.
But the French, from what I understand, that in France they were able to make absinthe or wormwood liqueurs, but they're not allowed to create absinthe.
Well, it was the same thing as here. We weren't allowed to have absinthe, but we were allowed to have herbal-based liqueurs. So, in New Orleans, there is Herbsaint,
Right.
which is definitely an absinthe, but it couldn't be referred to as that. And I don't think that Herb Saint
doesn't have wormwood
in it,
but in
it has
France
anise.
they had wormwood in it, but they just couldn't brand it as absinthe. That was kind of like a little loophole. Now they can have absinthe as absinthe. But then if you want to see like kind of you want to be able to touch a little bit of the history, and you're in the really
that's 15 minutes.
And you're in the New Orleans area, you could go to the old Absinthe House, which is
cool.
Which I believe a French bartender was hired at the old Absinthe House, coming from an area where he was big on absinthe, and was able to kind of bring that here.
The creators of the Absinthe Frappe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
which is really good.
I think that pretty much. I know that it's really short and it's not as in depth as a lot of the other historical products, and I'm just trying to keep it concise because this is just
because
it's not even my expertise.
Right, but at the end of the day, the goal is that's a little bit of a timeline on absinthe. Secondly, from a myth standpoint, the big thing everybody goes with is wormwood makes you hallucinate. Wormwood doesn't make. There's no scientific evidence to prove wormwood makes you hallucinate. On top of which is the Thujon content within the wormwood that doesn't distill very well, right? So when you distill, most of that stays, like the toxic level stays down, just like everything else, and the rest rises up. So you're getting trace amounts, which are legal now.
And I thought I read that even in the older absinthes, they've tested them
They're the same,
and found that the Thujon content, even in older absinthes, was
There's no
so
way
low
to
that
distill. I mean, the only time that they had problems with people getting really hurt was during the Black period.
Well, they were doing stupid
and
things.
people were like outlawed.
Jet fuel and whatever
Well,
else.
yeah, you get to a point where you like lead lace things and you do all these other crazy things because it's illegal.
If you drink enough 130 proof alcohol, you might see things anyway.
Well,
It doesn't matter what alcohol
the
it is.
trick is during that period when people were hallucinating and seeing pink elephants, if you will, that's part of coming down off of being a massive alcohol consumer to the point where, like, when you go
DTs.
cold turkey and you start detoxing, weird crap can happen to you. Yeah. Now they could just look at it and go, that's because of the absinthe that he might have had, and boom, you've got a movement.
Yeah.
Then you get the wine people, then you get the temper.
It was a lot easier to scare people
movement.
back in the day before information was so
Right, now
readily
information's
available.
there. It makes more sense. The Thujon content in here and in wormwood is so small compared to sage, right? Sage has more. Why is it we can have sage, but wormwood is such a bad thing? It's because they decided wormwood was bad, and it's called wormwood. It sounds dangerous. Sage doesn't sound so dangerous.
It sounds dangerous. This sounds gross.
So these absinthes here. I put the little guys next to each other. You don't like the fennel flavor? Are you an anti-absinthe type of flavor guy?
I mean, I'll taste it. It just don't really. It doesn't do anything for me.
So the louching process, and this one's a little bit greener. This one's a little bit more of a milky white.
This one is the
They have fennel and
absinthe.
anise, right? So because of that, you're gonna get that black candied licorice. I added the sugar. That's optional.
Yep.
Right. If you like a little bit sweeter, you can. I don't always use sugar for mine.
And there's some people will say, "Oh, you have to burn the sugar. That's traditional way." But that was like that's
what's
like
interesting?
one
That's
regional
Czech. I think
variant.
that's
So,
Czech
yeah,
that
there's
does.
something.
I don't know why, but I've always found that doing these little absinthe things kind of has a. Remember when you were a little kid, you had a stomach upset thing, and your mom put the Tums in the water? Yeah. That's what it always tastes like.
It's that numbing
medicine?
flavor too.
It has just like that coaty kind of chalky taste to it to me.
I like absinthe. I don't know why. So this one here, the one that Ian has here, is 63%. Is that what we said? 65.
Yeah, so it's
that's
130 proof.
130 proof. These are
Just
both
get one.
53s. That's a darker green. You could get both the greens and the white absinthes, the blanche and the verde. Right?
I tasted that pre-louche. It has like if you taste it, it has almost like a mint.
That one's better. Yeah,
So
that's really like a mint.
Yeah, it really comes out before the louche. It's interesting. I like the mint in it.
And then these here, yeah, that tastes more like the Vauqueray brand, like a very herbal. I don't know, very definitely carries a lot
Like
more
a
herb.
umami.
I like it.
It has that like earthy thing to it.
Yeah, it carries a lot more than this
herbal.
one, which is more of a sweet candied like flavor to it. That one I don't know about. So
This one I get the chalkiness out of, like you're talking
Okay,
about.
this is absinthe here's the problem.
Verde.
La Veldetra.
Antonio,
Verde,
you correct us on the
Verde.
pronunciation.
Yeah.
Fucking French names. Absinthe Blanche Nigue. I don't know what that is.
Niche.
This is the other thing that I kind of dig about the absinthe guys is they have such cool tools. Like I mean, like the dripping fountain's awesome. Like all of these these sugar spoons.
They can all be unique.
They're so cool. Like there's just so much
They're
character.
Baroque.
Right. It's a character thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to fix it if it's not broke.
If you don't want to, if you don't want to spend $80, you don't want to spend $200, you could use a Bruyere. I think.
Do you have these?
Right there.
And the
No,
way
I don't
this
sell.
works-
I don't sell any absinthe gear because I was a little afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you notice, most of these glasses, even these ones, have a line, an implied line. That's where you fill up your absinthe to. So you get a 1 ounce bubble there. That way you don't. There's no thinking involved.
And this, you just put there.
Right. And that will louche for you. You don't need sugar in this case. You just throw that there.
That's
you
a
have your
pretty
absinthe
steady
in there,
stream.
and it just pours down. They have these ones are like probably $12, $15. I think this one's a little bit more, depending on the style you like.
Probably
you want
depends on how much water's in there. The stream might slow down.
Well,
if
you
there's
add
less
a lot of
surface
ice
pressure.
to it too.
No, that's all the water that was in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Maybe the ice makes a difference. Yeah.
The ice
Yeah.
may slow it down a little bit, but it is a faster pour. You
Yeah.
can get different size holes too, will probably make a difference. But this one, like
In life, you can get different size holes too.
Different
this, if you wanted, I would go with like this type of color. They have gold ones to kind of match the rest of your gear. If you're like that into it, then you match your spoons to it. A lot of the spoons, like they come with these kits. You could buy the spoons. They're anywhere from like 30 to upwards, 15 to 30. These ones are a little cheaper. This one here came with let's see which one's. Oh, this is from Absinthe.com because they branded it.
Has little tiny stoppers on it too. I like that.
They can be a little bendy.
One of them,
kinda,
yeah.
Kind of cheap, yeah. That one's kind of cool. Did that one come with this fountain?
This was made in France.
Those kind of look like the Cocktail
no,
Kingdom.
But there is another one in the sampler kit that looks just
Oh
like
yeah.
it.
I'm not supposed to use that word.
These did not come from Cocktail
They
Kingdom.
were down at
One of these,
again.
yeah, bastards. This one may have came with Lafay,
Yeah.
like they would come with them. Sometimes you'll get the
One of
actual
them says
spoons.
That came with Lafay, I think.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, one of them says on this one.
So, from a gear standpoint, to avoid intimidation, you could get the little Bruyere, you could get an absinthe glass if you're just drinking by yourself, and you get a bottle of absinthe, use the samplers from
But
Absinthe.com.
shouldn't the safe thing be like go to a nice cocktail bar and try it first to just see if you even like it before you spend the money on it?
Yeah, you know, that's the first, the fundamental thing is to know what absinthe tastes
The
like.
tricky
'cause
thing
they-
is,
they
do you
kinda
know a
taste the same.
cocktail bar that serves absinthe like this? No.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
Are there?
Yeah, I mean in every
couldn't
city
pick
there's
one
one.
off the top of my head.
If you were
I like
were
this the
in
best.
Boston right
So,
now,
yeah, that's good.
I'll use Boston as a reference point.
Sure.
Hawthorne could do it.
Okay.
The Oak Room in the
I've never heard of these places. I don't know these places. I don't go out in Boston too often. I only know a few places.
Oak Room's really famous. It's been there forever.
Okay.
Where else could you do this at and get the same kind of show at? Eastern Standard probably would have this.
Well, if you drink Sambuca and you're
Yeah.
turned off by the flavor, if you drink Galliano and you don't like that finishing, you don't like
You're
the
probably not
Jägermeister
gonna like
finish,
this.
the
Yeah.
anise, fennel,
If you don't like herbal
you're
stuff.
not gonna like this. This has got that herbal flavor. It's kind of an herbal liqueur carried with that black licorice, the
Yeah.
fennel.
It's fun to try because of the experience with all the gear.
Right.
and,
It's a
process.
neat hobby.
But it's also something that's like if you don't like barbecue and you're like, oh, I want to learn how to smoke meats. You know, like you have to learn that these are the things that you like before you put the
Right.
money.
And then, so when you louche these guys, it basically, if you don't. Here's the other thing that I don't like what people do. They're like, we just did it a few minutes ago, but the tasting's different. You don't do pure shots of absinthe. Now somebody's commenting, I do that, me and my buddies, we get wrecked. All right, most people that are brilliant don't do shots, and I'm not going to say I haven't partaken in a shot of absinthe in the past. It's usually when
I don't want to bring
decision
this up,
making
but
goes...
didn't Doug just like chug some when?
Exactly.
Okay.
We can't stop that kid from drinking
Right.
anything. There's no rules for Doug.
My neighbor's done it because I bring this stuff over and they're like, what the hell? I gotta try this absinthe. I'm gonna see things. Like, my father has drank way too much of it thinking he's gonna hallucinate. Doesn't happen.
Really?
Turns
Your
out,
dad?
yeah, there's so much alcohol in absinthe that the minute trace of Thujaune that you might get, you would have to die 17 times from alcohol poisoning before you have enough Thujaune content in your body doing it. So, don't do shots of it raw unless you understand that what you're doing is stupid. And that's fine. People do
It's
stupid
wasteful.
things on purpose.
Yeah, it's wasteful.
It is wasteful. This is not
That's a big
cheap stuff to buy absinthe. It's an investment. So you try it first, then you can try these from absinthe.com or, you know, any
Now,
type of
if you
sample.
fall in love with one of those, can they send you full size?
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are just the samples of the full-size balls.
But you can buy those through them also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is probably smart because if you go when you take shipping into account,
Yeah.
because they have some flat rate shipping pricing, which is it's like $20 or whatever. It's not cheap, but it's not in the U.S. either. So if you're
You know
going to
who-
spend that much money, buy a good.
You know who else does this is Masters of Malt does it with
Oh, they do?
scotches.
Oh yeah,
that's
they
cool.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but what I also did is because these guys have sent me. This isn't the first time they've sent me different samples. I like, dude, you have a coupon code. I'm going to use your product. Let me know.
What?
So, if you go to absinthe.com, you do buy any of this. If you use coupon code cocktail, hard one, by I think September 29th, 2015. If you were watching this last year, and I apologize, or next year.
It's good you get qualified.
Right. It'll give you $10 off.
You've been around long enough to know that you're qualified.
Right. So $10 off on a product like this is good because it's highly expensive when you start to get into the ranges of the shipping, the cost of absinthe, and everything that kind of goes along with it. Plus, when you use the coupon code, it actually says Common Man Cocktails discount.
That's
$10.
awesome.
I tried it to see what it would do.
Well, that's good.
So I think
they know how much business they're getting through that coupon.
That's the best out of the three.
This one, it was a little darker green. I like the dark,
I like the mintiness.
the more dynamic flavors.
It didn't have the chalky thing to it.
No, it doesn't.
Absinthe. How do you say that? So these are,
Antonin will correct me, but
This is
Absinthe
the
la Valdetra Vert.
and I'll put it. You know what? I'll even write it down below.
Yeah, it's probably better that way.
Because you're not going to get it from my pronunciation.
This has a little bit more of a stock absinthe flavor, a little bit of chalkiness, a lot of tongue numbing action, black licorice. This one has that herbal.
You know I love tongue numbing.
I know you and your crazy freaking flowers. This one is probably the second that the second La Petite. Yeah, something like that.
The little.
No, P-T-I-T-E. That's a weird ass way of saying
it. I don't know.
This is why I like the American absinthe because I can pronounce them.
Lucid.
Lucid, first one into the U.S. in 2007. Lucid,
65.
Facet 65. It's English.
Butterfly.
Yeah. Even Lafay. Is it Lafay? The problem with Lafay is it's kind of a little bit bright green.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold on that, on the color. So that's it. You got
That's
that.
it.
If you want to check out some of the sources where I got some of this material, you can go to absinthe101.com, absinthetheater.com, and of course, wormwoodsociety.com. Those are kind of, or you type absinthe history. Wiki will help if you want a real big breakdown and list, and they usually are just references to these sites anyway.
And those guys know what they're talking about. So if you guys are like,
Right.
I want to know the deal, talk to
If you want to get into it.
Wormwood Society.
This is just a tasting to wet your palate on absinthe.
And to get us primed for the rest of our episodes.
Oh my god! Alright, we're done! We're teaching you how to drink!
You're really gonna do that again.
I foresee badness all over there.